My name is Eileen Farnham. I am living in Portugal for 3 years. I was born and raised in the Netherlands to an Irish dad and an Angolan and Portuguese mom. I help people and professionals connect and collaborate for impact and change in an online environment. And I'm the latest guest on the podcast of Simple Life Portugal.
Welcome back, or welcome to another episode of Portugal, The Simple Life. And I'm really happy to be joined here by Eileen Farnham. Did I pronounce the Farnham?
Farnham, but it's okay.
Farnham, not ham.
No,
No,
I would say that in
Farnham.
Dutch, yes.
Yeah, in Dutch, you would, yeah.
Yeah.
Eileen, thank you so much for being on the podcast. How are you today?
Thank you so much. I'm doing great, actually. It's a beautiful sunny day, so yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
we're
doing
we're
great
we're,
just
we're
now.
recording this in July,
Yeah.
coming up to August. So summer's always good in Portugal.
Yes,
It always
we
feels
can't
good,
complain. Yeah.
unless you're in the Alentejo where you were recently, and then you melt.
Right. No, I'm back from the Alentejo right now. I am in Lisbon, so it has dropped a good 10
Yeah,
degrees
it's like
Celsius.
10 degrees. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
For people who don't know, Alentejo is like the hottest region in the or one of the hottest regions in the country. If you're there in the
Yeah.
summer, it's intense.
Yeah, it was manageable, but it was for sure a lot warmer than here in Lisbon. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Eileen, why don't you start off telling us a bit about you?
Yes. So my name is Eileen Farnham. I will be nearly 30 by the time this video gets posted. And I was born and raised in the Netherlands to an Irish dad and a Portuguese and Angolan mother, which is also the basis of my whole story and my life in Portugal, I'd say. And I'm a trainer in communication and mostly online communication and collaboration. And I've been living in Portugal now for 3 years.
Okay, very good. Obviously, with your mom, I mean, okay, that must be an interesting household to be in. You know, a little
Yes,
bit of African, a little bit of Portuguese, Irish, living in the Netherlands. That must have been an entertaining childhood.
for sure. Yes. Yeah. I can't put it other way than, yeah, I think my multicultural melting pot or background or however you want to call it has shaped every single part of my life. And I'm very grateful for it, for sure.
Yeah,
But it's definitely very, very interesting growing up like that and living life currently with that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, how your mom's connection with Portugal? I mean, obviously, Angola is a former Portuguese colony. Um, Portugal seems to have this very interesting relationship with former colonies, a good one by for the most part. But what
Mhm.
did you learn about Portugal through your mom's connection growing up? What did you understand about the place? And how did you connect to Portugal that way?
Yeah, so my mom, she's already mixed, so she's already partially Portuguese and partially Angolan. I've got I think my great grandfather is from Figueira da Foz,
Okay,
but my mom and the rest of the family was born in Angola. So when the Civil War broke in 1975, the whole family came to Portugal because there was no other option at that moment, and obviously being a Portuguese colony, being born under the Portuguese regime, to say it like that. So that's at 11 years old how my mom came to Portugal. And
okay,
I always remember my mom saying, like, at that time, Angola had everything. It was the most advanced place. They had an amazing house and an amazing life and uh, cars and stuff. Like they had a good, enjoyable
a
time
good
there.
life. Yeah,
Yeah. And then they came to Portugal and most specifically to the Algarve, and there was nothing. It was just sand and not much development. So that was a very, very big shock to them coming there. And that's kind of how I always learned how my mom came to Portugal. So that's the first story I remember of her being like, we came here and there was nothing. Every time we're still in Quarteira, my mom says this wasn't here. This wasn't here when we came here. Like everything was built after we came. Um, so yeah, and then obviously growing up, I saw a lot of Portugal, but that I think is where it started for me, the story about Portugal.
Yeah. So did you visit quite often as a kid to Portugal with your mom? And
Yes, so I think my first ever flight as a baby was to Portugal, and growing up, like I would spend the summer holidays 6 to 8 weeks here. So I spent a lot of time in Quarteira. My family is from Quarteira. So yeah, a lot of time was spent,
so
especially the
you've
summer
seen
months.
Quarteira change a hell of a lot then. We're talking over the years. It is
Yeah,
very different today.
it is very different, but also it feels very familiar to me.
Mm.
Um, Also because there was a very large amount of time that I didn't want to have to do anything with Portugal, and I strongly disliked Corteira specifically and Portugal. And I said, never ever in my life will I ever move here.
Why,
Yeah,
Eileen?
but
And why was that? Was it just a,
um, it had to do with, I think, two things. One was partially also the family dynamics when we were on holidays, which were not always as relaxing, to put it that way. But I think the biggest thing was my journey in learning Portuguese.
okay,
So, like, I spoke English with my dad growing up and Dutch with my mom because she has already been in the Netherlands since she was 17. So that
okay.
just made the most sense for us as a family. And Portuguese was the third language, and obviously I already spoke two languages when I was a kid. It kind of it came along, you know.
You didn't want to learn a third. You didn't want to learn a
Well,
third.
I did. I for sure did
Hmm.
initially. And I always tried. So every time I would be in Portugal and I would be in Quarteira, we had the little neighborhood friends of where my grandmother would live, and I would always speak. But every time that I would say something in Portuguese, my family and the neighbors, they thought it was super funny, right? This small girl, I had these poofy pigtails on my head with a Dutch accent speaking Portuguese, so they would laugh a lot. And I didn't like that a lot. I felt very uncomfortable. And I was like, what you mean? I speak two languages. Sorry, like I'm
Yeah,
trying. I'm
yeah.
6 years old. And over the years, that kind of kept happening. I started to feel more uncomfortable, especially when they started laughing when I would make a mistake. So I would say something, it wouldn't be correct Portuguese, and they would laugh a lot. And then they would repeat, like, oh, did you hear what Eileen said? And then they would repeat to each other and then laugh. It's Portuguese neighborhood vibes, and you've got like
Yeah.
all the neighborhood
And
ladies.
from their side, it was probably like an affectionate thing, but it didn't feel that way.
For me, it was horrifying,
Yeah.
truly horrifying, and I really didn't like it. But it also came to a point where I think I was maybe 13 or 14 years old, where a neighbor heard me speak, and then she said to me, she said, Eileen, have you still not managed to learn the language of a mother? Que vergonha, which
Oh,
means
that's yeah.
what a
That's
shame
what a
you are.
shame.
What a
Yeah.
shame. Yeah, so she's like, que vergonha, with a look on her face. And I remember thinking in that moment, already being, very uncomfortable with speaking up, already speaking less than I wanted. I thought I will never speak a word of Portuguese again. And that's when I just didn't for years. I
So
refused.
that time you decided I'm not going to speak Portuguese, and I'm also not going to go to Portugal. I'm never
Yeah,
going to live in Portugal.
yeah,
Fast
yeah,
forward however many years, and here you are.
yeah,
How did you how did you get past that mental block? What happened that made you decide, actually, you know
yeah.
what, Portugal's not that bad?
Well, obviously, I grew up in the Netherlands, and I'm very Dutch because I was born and raised there. It's my first language, but my parents aren't. And I realized that by denying myself to learn the language or to know more about Portugal, I was also denying myself of a part of my identity.
Hmm.
And the reality is that I'm not one thing. I am a mix. of a lot of different things. And if I only
Yeah.
have the Dutch side of me kind of representing that part of my identity, I just felt unfulfilled or unspoken to a lot of parts of who I am. So I
Interesting.
was struggling with that a lot in the Netherlands. I felt stuck. I couldn't relate to some things. Some things, sometimes people couldn't relate to me in some ways of how I saw the world, life in general. So I realized that I was just not thriving in that environment. So it made sense to me to maybe change the environment so I could flourish, in a different place. And then I thought, you know what, maybe I should give my Portuguese side a chance and explore that. And that's when I decided to like book a one-way ticket to Portugal, basically without a plan.
And that
With
was 3 years ago?
Yeah, that was 3 years
Okay.
ago. Yeah, just one day I woke up, I looked outside, and I thought, it's time for me to go for good. And I did. And I came to Portugal with not much of a plan, except the only thing I wanted to do was once and for all learn this language.
Okay.
And that's what I did with all my focus and dedication and sweat and tears. So yeah,
And now you're fluent.
yes.
Do you speak it with an accent? Like I sound I get told I speak Portuguese with a Ukrainian accent, and it's funny because I'm not Ukrainian at all.
Interesting.
Yeah, so do you have an accent?
I think initially I speak, like obviously you can hear I'm a foreigner, but
Mm,
I've been told that I sound quite Portuguese. I think that's
okay.
the advantage of hearing it a lot
Yeah.
over the course of the life of my life. And also I learned Portuguese. I did a intensive summer course for 5 weeks in at the university in Coimbra.
Okay.
And then I thought, okay, I've got the basics now. What can I do to learn this language as soon as possible? And my solution to that was move to the middle of nowhere in Portugal where no one speaks English and only people can speak Portuguese. So I think I picked up on a lot of
Yeah,
the
that would have helped.
mannerisms. It's
Yeah.
not correct by all means. Like it's fluent, but it's for sure not grammatically correct at all. But
Yeah, but if you
initially
speak
people,
most Portuguese people will tell you that they don't even speak Portuguese exactly grammatically
yeah,
correct. You know, it's there's a lot of grammar, there's a lot of rules.
yes,
But I think you touched on an important point. You have to hear it. If you don't hear it,
yeah,
then it's much harder to speak the language as well.
yeah. Yeah, so I chose the path of immersion, like true
Me too.
immersion, immersion, immersion. And I really truly forced myself because this had been such a theme throughout my life, right? Like, why don't I speak Portuguese? I need to be able to speak Portuguese. I don't speak Portuguese. Like it was a loaded thing. So yeah, I forced myself, go out, talk to 3 people a day. And even if it was 9 o'clock or 9 p.m. at the house, I was like, well, you only spoke to 2 people, so you better get up, go out, go
Better
to the
go.
local cafe and have a conversation.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I've been here 16 years. I came when I first arrived. I couldn't speak any Portuguese, and I did go for lessons at the beginning,
mm,
but it was 3 nights a week, 2 hours sitting in a classroom, learning about the grammar, learning about the present, past, learning about the
yeah,
female version, the male version. I don't know why they decided that a cinema is a female and a something else is a male. And it just got so confusing. And I was just so frustrated because all I wanted to do was speak. Like I just wanted
yeah,
to. And so I dropped out of my Portuguese classes and I would just go to like the local pub, or in
yeah,
Nazaré or to a local cafe and I'd just start speaking. And I didn't care if I sounded like a 6-year-old or if I sounded Ukrainian. I didn't care. I was like, I've got to just speak this language. And that was the best. That was the best way because you hear it. And once you start to hear it, something just clicks. And
yeah,
because it's not an easy language, we know this.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I agree. I think it's the best
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Um,
And yeah,
I'm curious about the identities. So you mentioned that, you had like kind of felt that you had plugged into one identity, which is the Dutch identity. There must have been a bit of Irish there as well from your dad's side.
Sure. Yeah.
And so, I mean, and then you wanted to kind of explore more of your Portuguese identity. Just unpack that a little bit. What is, I know it's generalizing, but what is the Irish identity? What is the Dutch identity? And what did you explore and discover about your Portuguese identity? I know it's a long-winded question, but let's see if we
Yeah.
can try and get into that.
It's an interesting question because I've been thinking about this because I don't think I can separate it. Like my identity is the combination of
Yeah.
everything. Um, so I don't know if I can point out the countries or cultural sides of it, but I think how I live my life right now by moving to Portugal, that kind of sums up what my identity is. And
Okay.
okay, so when I was 14, my dad moved back to Ireland. So in order for me to see my dad and see my Irish side of the family, I had to, get on a plane and go to Ireland, basically. So I've always been flying to Ireland multiple times a year, flying to Portugal, being in the Netherlands. Um, so I'm very used to changing locations and constantly shifting between cultural contexts on a daily basis when it comes to like switching between 3 or 4 languages a day or being in different cultural contexts a day. That's kind of where I feel at home and at ease. And when I was in the Netherlands, I didn't have that as much. I like physically had to leave a country in order to do that. And now that I'm in Portugal, because I've got so many international people around me, but I've got Portuguese friends as well. I've got my Portuguese family. And I move around within Portugal. I think that kind of speaks to all these different identities
Mm,
constantly on a daily basis, to me.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what does it look like for you to switch? I mean, I know it's something that probably you do seamless, but where have you found yourself? What does it look like to switch into the Portuguese culture for you? What are
Mm.
the, because I know some of the differences are subtle, sometimes they're big. I know I have a lot of Dutch clients, and there's some things that the Dutch are very, very similar to the Portuguese, and there's other things that they're very, very different to the Portuguese.
Yeah.
Same with the Irish, actually, and so I'm curious to know, where do you see those little subtle changes
The
as
subtle
you,
changes.
yeah,
I mean, when it's Portuguese, like for me, that's why language is so important to learn about the culture because language and culture are intertwined. The one does not exist without the other. So I also truly believe that you cannot understand an actual culture if you do not speak the language.
hmm,
So I think that's a very important thing if you
yeah,
move to a country, one of the most important things. But then also, so as soon as I go into Portuguese mode, the way I speak and the way I interact, like it's very different. So I was talking to a friend the other day and she's Portuguese and she often speaks to me in English. And I say to her, like, hey, we can speak in Portuguese. I actually would prefer that. So she said, okay, fine. And then she said to me, you're much more fun in Portuguese. You're much
okay,
more funnier. You're way funnier in Portuguese. And I was like, really? She said, yeah, you seem more carefree and you make more jokes and the
hmm,
way you move and interact is so different than when I talk to you in English. And I thought,
interesting,
oh, how interesting. Um, so yeah, I think that's an interesting, like my whole personality kind of shifts apparently. And just the things of that I've adopted, like the more slow pace of life. I've let go. I've learned the skill of surrender when it comes to wanting to get things done and things not going the way you would
the
like it
skill of
or have.
surrender. I like that. The skill of
Yeah,
surrender. That's a good way to put it. Yeah,
yeah. It's like, especially coming from a country like the Netherlands, where everything
yeah,
is boom, boom, it needs to be done now, preferably, and everything is planned in ahead, like ahead of time. Like if I want to meet with friends, I need to inquire their calendar to see if they've got a spot for me in the next 2 months. Whereas when I'm here, I never plan with friends and I'm always surrounded with them.
Mm.
It just happens organically. Like there's not much of a planning needed. I walk on the street and I meet them. So everything is way more, I don't know how you would explain it, but way more
Yeah,
in sync,
organic was
organic.
a good word.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah. And
I remember visiting friends in the Netherlands, and it was like I would arrive there and maybe I'd be there for 4 days. And like as I got there, it was like my dad's friends are like, okay, today we're doing this, tomorrow we're doing this, tomorrow we're doing that. And it's like, okay, the 4 days is already kind of planned out.
yeah.
Whereas in Portugal, it's like there's not really a plan. It's just like we'll just go with the flow, maybe we'll go to that festa or maybe we'll go down to the beach or whatever, and it's a completely different thing,
Yeah.
which is interesting. Definitely pace of life and that flow is a bit of a different thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, especially that was what I was struggling a lot with in the Netherlands, is that I'm more of a, okay, let's see how I feel and maybe we can hang out and the more the merrier, let's bring everyone together. But I guess in the Netherlands, it's like you've got friend group A, friend group B, friend group C, or friend A, B, C, and they don't really mingle as much. And I'm obviously generalizing, but as
Sure.
much, which was already a thing that I struggled with. And then if I, on a random Sunday, thought, oh, let me meet with friends, then I can call 7 of them, but then they have already plans with X, Y, Z. So that here, I was struggling so much and felt so stuck. But then when I came here, I was like, oh, actually, it's not a thing here. I
Mm.
don't have to worry about that. And we do plan because, especially in my network, the majority of them are entrepreneurs and, you know, we've got things that need to be done,
Yeah.
but it's just with so much more ease. It's not as
Yeah.
neurotic,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
all respect to the Dutch culture, because
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love
It's just
a
different.
lot
It's
of
just
parts.
different.
Yeah, a lot of parts I do love. It's just more, I can breathe a little bit
Yeah.
better.
I find that there seems to be, or it's almost like there's this rush because I don't know if maybe it's the sun goes down earlier in the Netherlands and people think we don't have that much time. We need to plan everything. We need to move quickly. And then you come here and it's like, oh, we've got time. And then even,
Yeah.
I think also like I remember being with some Dutch friends and they didn't have any more space at the table. And one of their other friends had called and said, like, oh, you guys, can I join? And we're like, oh, no, we don't have enough space. Whereas like in Portugal, that would never happen. Like, there's always space at the table. There's that good expression, you just add water to the soup. There's always
No,
space for one more person.
absolutely not.
And that's, I think that's where you see a big
Yeah.
difference. The relationship with time, the relationship with food, the relationship with space is very, very different.
Yes.
What else was
Yeah,
different for
actually,
you?
now that you,
Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, yeah, I just want to say now that you said that, on what are my Portuguese and my Dutch, I really had to relearn that because I noticed when I came how much of a Dutch ways I had in that, like, ooh, mixing for like I would, hey, I actually also am meeting up with this friend. Would you mind if this friend is gonna join? Like I would ask permission, and then people were
Yeah.
like, you can bring your grandma, whoever you want to bring.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
got food. So what's the issue? Like it's a
Yeah.
bit odd that you're asking us to do that. And
Yeah.
then I
Yeah.
noticed like, oh, wait a minute. This is a cultural thing that I've learned, but it's not necessarily a me thing.
Yeah.
And now that I'm in Portugal, I've learned that this cultural part fits way more within my personality.
It's interesting.
And
Yeah.
that's a really big thing. Also, food wise, like when I moved to the middle of nowhere, I had Portuguese neighbors and I was constantly working and they would knock on my door and they would be like, you bring your ass down right now. You're going to have lunch with us. And I wouldn't want to impose, like, no, it's okay. But they would get mad at me if I would refuse, and I've learned that if they offer you to come eat with them, you just accept. And I did. And it was really, really, like, really nice experience because they gave me that sense of home while I was living by myself there in the middle of nowhere. And these were my real Portuguese neighbors at the
Yeah.
time. And I think I learned a lot about generosity here when it comes to like when it comes to inviting people in, or even when I was in the north and people were helping me with Portuguese, like it would take me a lot of time to say what I wanted to say, and I insisted in wanting to say it in Portuguese, but they would just wait for me. Like there was no
Yeah.
rush. Learning Dutch in the Netherlands is one of the hardest things to do, not only because the language is very difficult, but because we don't have the patience for someone to finish their sentence in Dutch when they're learning, because we'd rather just switch to English
Yeah.
and get it on with. So, yeah,
It's interesting. Really
interesting
interesting.
finds that I did not
Yeah.
expect.
How's it been now? I mean, you came across 3 years ago. What are you enjoying about living here now, looking back over the 3 years?
Ooh, what do I
And
enjoy?
what has surprised you?
What has surprised me? I for sure 100% enjoy the people I have around me and that I have gathered in the last 3 years. Like I don't know exactly how, but I've managed to surround myself with amazing people from all over the world with good hearts, and just as adventurous and spontaneous as that I am when it comes to let's go here, let's do this, let's whatever. Like they're entrepreneurial, they're involved within the community, they're community builders, they're actually bringing something to Portugal, even though there's also foreigners, some of them themselves. So for me, it's having a lot of homes in Portugal. So I always say, like, I don't live in a certain place in Portugal. I technically also don't at this moment, but I've got a lot of homes. Like I live in
Mm,
Portugal, in the country. I can go to the south. I can be in Lisbon. I can be in near Coimbra. Like I have my people and my
yeah.
community there. And I think that's
Yeah.
the most valuable thing.
Between my job as a realtor at Portugal Realty and hosting this podcast, life is pretty busy. But lately, I've been receiving so many messages from people that want to know more about buying property here on Portugal's Silver Coast that I've got to do something about it. So starting now, for subscribers only, I'm offering up a 30-minute session per day. That's 5 30-minute sessions for a one-on-one meeting to talk about buying property here on Portugal's beautiful Silver Coast. This is for subscribers only. So please subscribe to book your session and get in touch with us through the links below via WhatsApp or email to book your session today. I'll be happy to speak to you. It's for subscribers only and it's completely free. I was speaking to I can't remember which guest it was, but we were speaking about um this concept of you've got like many different tribes in Portugal,
Yeah.
and they all kind of overlap and mix
Yes.
and but also that Portugal as a place gives the space for people to come and be like this, for you to come
Yeah.
and be welcome, be open, find a tribe. And the Portuguese allow this to happen as well. It's not like you've got to be boxed into a certain thing. And actually, funny enough, like when you talk about the Dutch, I did find that seeing so like there were boxes, and it's like this one fits into
Hmm.
that box, and this one fits in.
Yeah.
It's the art community, and that one's the music community, and that one's the. But
Yes.
in Portugal, it's just like this big mixture of things and this like beautiful chaos.
Yeah.
Um, but it's almost like that's what Portugal is. And you talk about your mom's mixed heritage, and that's not uncommon for Portuguese that we're mixed. We've got something from somewhere. I've got, my daughter has these friends, and they both are cousins. And one of them is like pale, pale white, but she's got hair like yours. And you're
Hmm.
like, there's something from in the DNA where it is this
Yeah.
mixture of things. And it's almost like, well, that's just fine. And there's just this natural space that's given and facilitation that's given for people just, like you said, come from all over, build a community, do something, be in a position where they can give back to the community. And that's
Yeah.
quite a special thing about Portugal, I think.
Yes, yes. I think Portugal is a place where, let's put it differently. Portugal can facilitate all these things for you. It's an amazing country. It has everything. You can have the city, you have the mountains, the rivers, the beach. Like it's all in close proximity. And people are also open enough to facilitate that. It obviously takes a certain kind of person and type of people
That's
to
true. Yeah.
seize the opportunities where they present themselves. And thankfully, I am surrounded with these kind of people. But if you put those together, then
Magic.
amazing, yeah, magic happens. Like you said, I spent 3 days in the Alentejo. We got invited by PACT, which is the Institute for Science and Technology in the Alentejo. And they invited 30 remote professionals on a 3-day roadshow. So we've seen all the places, well, not all the places, but we've seen some places in Alentejo. We met with mayors.
Mm.
And I was, for one, also surprised, but also like, wow, there are actually people and resources and time and money and help available, people ready with their arms open and like, hey, we want you to be able to create something here and to co-create something with you guys. So if you have an idea and if you want to do that with us, call us. Like we're here. We want to do this
Yeah.
for you. And I think
Yeah.
that was such a cool, like it was such a cool experience to be like, oh, wait a minute. Because Portugal sometimes can feel a little bit defeating when it comes to bureaucracy and wanting to get things done. It can feel a
Yeah.
bit frustrating and hard and like, I catch myself sometimes thinking like, oh my God, what it's
Yeah.
2025. Come on, like, how can this be so outdated? But the people are there. Like
Yeah.
this Alentejo,
The willingness is there. Yeah.
is there. That there's a whole program ready, but it's just the opportunity needs to meet the right people, and then when those come
Mm.
together, that's where the magic happens, I think.
Well, yeah, and you raise a very important point is that the on the if you talk about on two sides, you've got the Portuguese and they're willing and they're open and they're
Yeah,
welcoming and all these things, but you've also got to come with the right approach as the visitor or as the guest. And I think
yeah,
that's important. I think you find, I mean, I've been here for a long time and I see people that have come over here and have felt very, very lonely. But I've also seen many people who have come out here and felt the most fulfilled and embraced. But it's also because of their approach.
yeah,
You mentioned you set yourself a little goal when you're learning Portuguese that go and speak to 3 people a day. It's
yeah.
little things like that that are going to make you give you that introduction, give you that in. That's also going to make a Portuguese person look and go, wow, she's really making an effort to be part
Yeah.
of what we are, and that's so important as well.
Yeah, for sure. And then it also like what I said about the language, I stand by it. I think it's the
Yeah,
one most
yeah,
important thing. Um, because a lot of these issues with bureaucracy, I didn't encounter, for example, just for the fact that I had a certain level of Portuguese, even though at the time it was not that
yeah,
good, but they acknowledged that I was learning. So, you know, it would be nice if everyone got treated the same way, obviously, but in these situations, they do appreciate it. So I didn't have a lot of the hurdles, to be honest,
yeah,
like when it comes to
yeah.
residency. Now, I obviously am European, so for me, the process in itself is
Bit
very
easier.
easy. So I'm not
Yeah,
like my South African friends and American friends and stuff. That's a whole different
yeah.
game. Um, but yeah, sometimes, very rarely, I come across people who say like, "Yeah, I don't see the need of learning Portuguese,"
Hmm.
and I'm like, "Well, for one, it's out of respect
Yeah,
to the country where you've
yeah,
decided to reap the
yeah,
benefits of. so that you can live the life you want to
Yeah. Yeah.
live.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
So
because when I came, I couldn't speak Portuguese, and the advantage with Portugal is that while you're learning and while you're trying to navigate the language, the people are very accommodating. You know,
yes,
they're completely different to the Spanish and the French in that way. There's a capacity for language and there's a willingness to speak your
yeah,
language to help you.
yeah,
But we have a responsibility as well to come and go. I'm coming
yeah,
into this new country. I'm going to have a much more enriching experience as well, by learning the language. But like you said, it's also a matter of respect. You know, the fact that just a friendly bon dia and tudo bem goes a long way, to making you feel even more welcome and connect with people
yeah,
here. So it's important. Yeah,
yeah. And I don't expect you to be fluent immediately. Like I
it's
will never
impossible.
be, like it's a difficult language to learn. I acknowledge that, but it's also the intention of, do you know what? Let me at least try, or you know,
Yeah,
like you said, a bon dia, even some basic stuff. And like you said, it will enrich your experience
yeah,
way more, and your sense of feeling at home and at ease, because so much of understanding the Portuguese culture or any culture is through language.
yeah, yeah,
Like the way we say things in a certain language, it reflects up on how we do things. So, for example, I was in Évora, and Évora is going to be the cultural capital of 2027. And they are going to promote the concept of vagar. And vagar is a very, very, it's a concept or word or lifestyle, let's say, that is very close to the Alentejo. It's
go
basically
slow.
the identity of Alentejo is how they presented it. And vagar is not you cannot translate it one on one,
No,
but it's this sense of being, like to go with ease,
yeah,
maybe that sense of surrender, like
mm,
it's so they want to promote that and show people what is that vagar exactly, like what does that
mm,
mean to us,
yeah,
and how does that shape how the whole Alentejo region
yeah,
does everything. And
yeah,
that's that one word. When I go and drive, and I drive a lot, my grandma will say to me, anda com vagar, like, be
yeah,
careful, go with ease, like take
yeah,
chill.
yeah. It's funny because you've got Portuguese words that there's no literal translation. You know, you've got saudades, you've got desenrascar, and
Yeah,
vagar is one of those, and it's almost like it's an intentional slowness, like
yeah,
go slowly intentionally. You know, I like the surrender idea as well. Um, it's yeah, it's that is the Alentejo for sure. The
yes,
joke in Portugal that even the water goes slower. You know, the
yeah.
there's a
But
lot of
ironically enough, they are, from what I've seen now so far, especially after this week, they have vagar, but they are also like, okay, but we're ready for innovation. We're ready for
mm,
development. Like
yeah,
we're open to do
yeah,
things. Like we want to do things. So
yeah,
those things can coexist,
yeah.
which is also
Tell us
beautiful.
tell us a little bit, Eileen, about some of the work that you're doing. I know you do some mentoring as well, but
Yeah.
just tell us a little bit about what you're up to.
Yes. So I do many different things, but the majority is that I'm a trainer and facilitator in communication and collaboration. So I help companies, people, governments to communicate, connect, and collaborate in an online space. So that could be, for example, psychologists or educators who want to do their lectures or like a psychologist does their consults online, and I will help them with how do we ensure a safe space when we are not together in real life, but we have a screen in front of us, for example. And also when it comes to, for example, a big government institute that all of a sudden people need to start to do online calls, how do you ensure that that is in the best way possible? How do you make sure that the communication is optimized? And I also do mentoring, like you
Yeah.
mentioned. I work with a organization called Namal, and they help refugees from Africa to work remotely or create an online career. So I've been mentoring Saeed, which is someone that followed their program, and they liked him so much that they hired him.
Oh,
And
wow.
I've been mentoring him in his communication skills. So he's a manager or coordinator, and he talks to me like, "Hey, I had this conversation with fellow board members. How could I approach that? Or how can I improve my public speaking? Or how could I connect with all these different cultures that I don't really know? Like, how could I do that in the best way possible?" Um, so yeah, that's kind of broadly what I do. Help
Yeah.
people connect with each other.
Amazing. Amazing. I mean, yeah, we've seen this rise in kind of, and I know digital nomads don't like to be called digital nomads, remote workers.
Uh,
Um, there is something, yeah, it's a great place for people that want to work remotely. I mean, there's
yeah.
the there's the obvious and the things is, you know, good internet and great tech and all of those things. And then there's the other side of it is what am I doing when I'm not sitting behind a screen? All of a sudden, this country offers a
Yes.
lot. You know, I want to go back to something you said. You said before you decided to move, you looked out the window in the Netherlands, and I'm wondering what color the sky was when you looked outside, and if that had something to do with it.
Well, that particular day it was sunny and that
Okay,
was
so there
like
you
I
go.
need more of this.
Yeah,
Yeah, I absolutely detest I cannot function in gray skies at all. To the point that I'm even outside of Europe in wintertime. That's how intense it is.
mm,
But
yeah,
yeah, obviously the weather is amazing. There's so many. I've seen so much of Portugal and the world, but mostly of Portugal because I work remotely. Like I've been in the mountains, I've been in Serra da Estrela, I've seen
yeah,
every place here because I work remotely. And I think the beauty of that is it gives you the sense to explore, right? Like there's this time to explore and go to different locations. Um, but there's also a lot of people around me that create communities so that we've got things to do after
yeah.
work or during work. So right now in Quarteira, which is where I am most of the time, like a friend of mine, she 2 years ago started a community for remote professionals or digital nomad. Well, actually, everyone who lives there is quite integrated where they live, and there's now 500 people. So
Amazing.
Quarteira never appealed to me
Hmm.
because I would go and visit my grandma and there would be no young people. I would come there with my laptop. There was no place for me to sit. Internet was not working. So what was I supposed to do there?
Yeah,
So I went to other places. And now because I've got all these young local Portuguese people my age that are actually working together with the University of Faro or with Tech Campus or with the municipality. And now people are deciding, oh, wait a minute, let me put my roots here and actually be integrated in this community.
yeah,
And I think that's a really cool development.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
for I think sometimes the misconception is that remote workers don't work a lot or work a lot of hours. I think it's the opposite because there's
Uh,
no time, there's no no 9 to 5. There's
yeah.
you got to get on that call when you get on the call. I remember during COVID working from home and you lose track completely of what time it is, and that I should
Yeah.
have eaten dinner 2 hours ago. But I mean, and we know, stepping away from the computer, turning off, uh, giving yourself that headspace to re-energize and to rest and to inspire and to recover. How does a place like this give you like that? I mean, how does it help you to kind of step away and get out of your head sometimes? Because
Yeah.
it's very easy to get stuck when you're behind a screen all the time.
Yeah. Well, Obviously, luckily, my work consists of constantly interacting with people like we are doing right now. So that gives me a lot of as if I'm with people, thankfully. Otherwise, I could have not done it.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, the funny thing you said, people think we work less, but I think the contrary is
Mm.
true because the majority are also entrepreneurs. And if you're an entrepreneur, I think you know that work never really stops. But we actually enjoy getting together and like doing mastermind sessions on how we could improve our business, for example, or how we could create a project in the area. So that's actually what we enjoy doing in our free
Mm.
time is
Hmm.
spend more time on creating more stuff that may be
Yeah.
of benefit for us all. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's the things that I actually enjoy doing. Like we get together, we brainstorm, we come up with projects, but sometimes we just go to a music night and then we go
Yeah.
to a festival or food or
Or just go sit on a square and drink a cup of coffee or
yeah,
go to the beach.
exactly.
I,
More
I
than
think it's
often, it's
so,
just let's meet for or not even.
yeah,
We don't have to meet. I just go to the coffee and then my friends are there and
yeah.
that's it.
I mean, I think we're just lucky because I look at like my life and work is hectic and really busy and of course stressful. But I think what's so wonderful is when I walk out the door, I'm not sitting in traffic. I'm not
Yes.
I'm not I'm not in gray skies every single day. I'm in a place where things are pretty much relaxed, where people are calm. There's no people arguing in the streets about politics, and there's none of these things
No.
happening. And I think that's the blessing, is that yeah, okay, everybody works hard, but then when I leave my desk, when I leave my office, when I leave my workspace, what is going to nourish, And here in Portugal, I think we're just fortunate because you've got all of those things around you where you walk away from your desk, you've got the lovely old ladies that will have a conversation.
Yeah.
You've got it's difficult to not talk to people here because everybody's got the time for a conversation. And then you add to that the good food and the weather and the amazing nature, and it's just yeah, we're very, very lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the ease of, oh, I want to go for a swim. Well, let me just walk to the ocean. That's that. Oh, I want to see the sunset. Well, 5 minutes and you're there. I think also the maybe the biggest misconception with working what a lot of people have that are not in my kind of orbit of working remotely or digital nomads is that we spend all our time like we work and then it's only just travel. But yeah, I do travel a lot. But for example, I've spent a week in Lisbon with a good friend of mine. And because I work online, I can take the opportunity to strengthen my contacts and my friendships and nourish them and strengthen my contacts and things here in Lisbon. Today, I will go to Coimbra, where I've got friends who live in a tiny little town in the mountain and they have a little guest house. And because I do that, I will take my free time so that I can spend a full week with them and that town and have that slow paced life. And I
Mm-hmm.
already know because it has
Vagard.
my favorite donkeys is there. His name is Steve, and I'm going to see Steve, my donkey, um, because of that. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I move
Yeah,
around, but I'm actually creating stronger ties than I could have done otherwise.
yeah, yeah. Amazing. Eileen, what is one thing that you would like people to remember and to take away from our conversation?
Ooh, what is the one thing that I want people to remember and take away from the conversation? I think home is whatever you make it to be. And that if you want to feel at home here in Portugal, initially it needs some researching and some going out of your way to find things to do and to meet people and to create your connections. But once you have them and nourish them, then this can be like an amazing life.
Magic.
But the efforts start with yourself.
Yeah, for sure. How can people follow you, find you online, get in contact?
Yeah, for right now, you can add me on LinkedIn. Send me a little message that you've watched this so I know, which is Eileen Farnham, just my name. Simple as that.
Perfect. I'll put some links
Yeah.
in the show notes, and people can get in touch if they'd like to chat. Eileen, a question that we ask all of our guests:
Right.
Portugal, the simple life. Why?
Oh gosh. I thought the answer would come straight away. Portugal, the simple life. Why? Because surrendering yourself to this place is the most calming experience that you will ever have.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for inviting me. I enjoyed it very much.
And I'm going to let you call it.
Oh, what is it again?
That's a wrap.
Oh man, I actually used to work for TV, so I should have known that, but
You should.
that's a wrap. Thank you so much, Dylan. That's a wrap.
So thank you once again to our guest, and thank you to all of you for listening. Please subscribe, share with your friends, give us a thumbs up, and please leave a comment or a review. We always love to hear from you. Don't forget, Portugal The Simple Life also has a magazine, so download it. It's for free. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode, and as we say in Portugal, sejas bem-vindo. Welcome to The Simple Life.